Piali, Nochime, Kwali Yowali. Hello, everyone, and good evening. I'm going to open us up. This is the night that I'm going to be putting away my altar for our celebration of the past few days of Los Días de Muertos. And going to open this up wherever you're sitting right now. If you can just sort of, in your heart, think about each direction that you are sitting in. And you don't have to physically turn, or you can, but we're going to think about the east direction. I'm going to start honoring in the east direction. I'm going to do this 4-direction prayer in Spanish, and then I'll also be kind of explaining each direction. So we'll start with the east. Y saludamos y pedimos permiso al lugar de Quetzalcóatl, lugar donde nace nuestro Padre Sol, Totatzin, Tonatiuh, el hacido del día. So we give thanks to the place where the sun rises in the east. We give thanks to our sun. And then now we turn to the west. Y saludamos y pedimos permiso al lugar de Cihuatlampa, lugar de las mujeres muertas en el parto. Aquellas guerreras que ofrendaron su vida para dar una nueva vida. Aquellas mujeres que acompañan el sol en su camino. So we honor this direction of the west, the direction of women, particularly those women who've died in childbirth. And we give thanks for those spirits of those women who accompany its sun in its journey every day. And then we turn to the north. Saludamos y pedimos permiso al lugar de mi clan, lugar de mi clampa, el lugar de los antepasados, los abuelitos y abuelitas, y la sabiduría más profunda. So we give thanks to this direction of the north, the direction of the spirit world, of the ancestors. And this is where our profound knowledge comes from. And then we turn to the south. Y saludamos y pedimos permiso al lugar de Huitzlampa, el lugar de la juventud, la fuerza de voluntad, el colibrí izquierdo. And so we give thanks to this direction of the south, the direction of the young people, the direction of our willpower, and the direction of the hummingbird. Then we come to the center and we give thanks, offer this fire, this smoke, this copal, for all of us, all the way to the sky, down to the earth. Saludamos y pedimos permiso al centro, el gran corazón del cielo, la gran jícara de los cosmos, Intloque Nahuaque. Damos gracias a la madrecita, la tierra, Tonantzin, Cualicue, ella con falde de jade, con falde de serpientes, que un día abrirá sus gran fauces como un gran zigpacli para devorarnos y regresarnos a la naturaleza y convertirnos en energía pura. So we give thanks to the cosmos, to the sky, to everything that's above us. And then we give thanks to our Mother Earth that is our nourishment. It's the place where we come from and the place where we will return and where we are transformed into energy once again. And so I'm going to open us up with a song. And my name is Jenny Luna, and I'm coming to you from Ventura, California, Chumash territory, and from my home. And this evening, as many of us are sort of at home and thinking about what tomorrow may hold, or the day after that, or the day after that. And so just holding this evening with you all a prayer for our tenacity, a prayer for our strength, a prayer for our unity, our solidarity, and always our self-determination. So I'm going to offer a song, and this song is in Nahuatl, and it's a song that I enjoy singing for the ancestors, especially around this time. And the song is about when we carry the flowers to our altars, and we think about those that we love. Chikewa sochi, chikewa pano yolo, pampani meets Tlazotla, pampani meets Tlazotla, Ikanochi no yolo. Cuida esta flor, cuídala en tu corazón, porque te quiero con todo mi corazón. Chikewa sochi, chikewa pan no yolo, pampani meets tlazotla, pampani meets tlazotla, ikanochi no yolo. Cuida esta flor, cuídala en tu corazón, porque te quiero con todo mi corazón. So offer that song with a lot of love, reminding us that our truth is in this fire. Our truth is in the trees, in the earth. And that's all we need to do, is to go back to truth. And whenever we seek truth, coming back to the fire, coming back to our songs, coming back to our earth, the beach, the water, the trees, the mountains. And so that's I think the most important reminder for myself, and that I wanted to share, is that at the end of the day, when we seek truth, we go back to our earth, and that's where we'll find it. And so I want to wish you all a good evening, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share my altar, share a song, and share a good thought with all of us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jenny Luna, coming from Cal State Channel Islands and Ventura. We appreciate you for your medicine, your songs, your prayers, your altar. We're so grateful. We're so happy to be joined by so many wonderful people today in our final gathering of Vela y Voto. We have relatives from the Central Valley of California. We have relatives coming from Atlanta, Georgia, and we also have we may have another visitor coming on from Arizona. So stay tuned for a beautiful dialogue today. I just wanted to ground us. I am John Jairo Valencia, and I'm here with Maestra Celia Herrera Rodriguez. I'm also accompanied by one of our undergraduate awesome students, Alondra Bedoy, and also Profesora Coco, who just walked in, who's another professora here at UCSB, who's joining us, who's about to say say hello. Hey, Coco. We are here at Las Maestras Center. For those of you who've joined for the past couple of weeks, Las Maestras Center for Chicanx, Indigenous Thought, Art, and Social Praxis is a center here at UC Santa Barbara, located on Chumash territory, unceded Chumash lands and waters. I also want us to take a moment to reflect on the places that you all are all coming from, the communities and lands and ancestors that you all also represent. So I'm calling all them in to be here with us, to witness us, to guide us, to support us as we enter this really intense time. I feel like a lot of us are awaiting just kind of what's going to happen after tonight. So I'm grateful to all the wonderful folks here who joined us to share their wisdom and insights with us. I wanted to start off with just a little reading, a writing that I did some time ago that I edited for today to ground us, and then I'm gonna pass it on to our guests. So just gonna ground us briefly with a little story and reflection. We sit at the cusp of the rising sixth sun. Many who think they don't have an eye for these kind of things are fearing the end of times, without realizing that the world has been created, destroyed, and remade throughout various cycles in this spiral we call time. Cyclical time is embedded into our double helix DNA, the same way squash and bean vines intertwine and coil up the corn stalk. These are the things that we forget as we become indoctrinated into a cosmovision of fragmentation, fear, and shame. Our relationship with fear is distorted through the colonial project and made to immobilize us into apathy and submission. We forget that fear, if sunk to in the right way, can teach us a dance of courage. We are in a time of reckoning. From astronomical eras to timekeeping cycles, the earth and universe have seen more changes than our human minds can comprehend. Religious conservatives are preaching the end of times, while atheist liberals cry out about the death of the earth. Oftentimes, these groups are at odds with each other without realizing they're at opposite ends of the branch, stemming from the same lineage of thought. Maybe there is some truth about our current human condition through these claims, but isn't it a bit egotistic to think that we as humans are the only beings in the world important enough to bring forth the apocalypse or the destruction of the earth? Earth is resilient and adaptable, who has sustained eras, eons, and grand cycles of time. Earth will regenerate, but the real question is, can we as a species adapt to the changes human beings are bringing about through the extractive mindset of deforestation, overharvesting, pollution, overconsumption, greed, control, money, progress? If we remember ancient history and the old ancestors, we will know that what we are growing through is not new. Many who think they don't have an eye for these kind of things believe their salvation comes from individualism. Yet in the process of breaking away from the linear mind, we learn that the only way to survive is through surrendering to interdependence and responsibility. Instead of placing blame and moving from a place of helplessness and fear, what courageous choices must we make in order to make it through the next world? How are we here we are, finding ourselves today, still in the middle of a global pandemic, witnessing the genocide of people in Gaza, the Congo, Sudan, witnessing the growing number of water and land defenders throughout Abya Yala being taken, witnessing the attack on reproductive rights and body autonomy, witnessing the ongoing attack on queer and trans Black and brown relatives, witnessing climate disaster and the ongoing apathy and lack of proactive legislation to respond to what is happening and what has happened in New Orleans, Puerto Rico, Appalachia, and beyond, finding ourselves desperately awaiting the results of this polarizing and corrupt two-party election and under a democratic two-party election. I cannot help but to think that the ancestors were speaking to us and are speaking to us, reminding us of what is to come. At times, I am not humble nor patient enough to receive the message, but we must remember the world before us. Come sit at the fire. I am reminded of the words of our maestras here at Las Maestras. Maestra Shuri Moraga offers to us the possibility that, quote, our pre-conquest imaginations offer strategies for building self-sustaining societies today, societies that can disrupt the mass suicide of global consumption engineered by the empire of the US, end quote. I reflect on ancient memory and wonder if I, as a detribalized, mixed-blooded, urbanized brown person, can ever view the ancient world without romanticizing it. This is the dilemma of colonized people living with colonized mind on stolen colonized land. Yet I follow the mandate to get out of the way to know, as Maestra Celia Herrera Rodriguez calls for us to do. I am humbled in realizing that the path towards decolonization is messy, and even though we may all have competing definitions of it, the internal colony of the psyche and spirit is one we must reckon with. In the retelling of a Nawa creation story, the late Dr. Sintley, our beloved ancestor, reminds us of the mythic origins of corn cultures across Turtle Island, Abya Yala, and the Caribbean. In the recreation of the world as the fifth sun, Quetzalcoatl emerged from a journey to the underworld with bones left over from the destruction of the fourth sun. The debris was then infused with old lessons, new teachings, and good intentions in order to mold the present-day human beings. In this era, we became people of the corn, through the ants gifting maize kernels to feed the hunger of the first humans. According to this story, this was one of the foundations of the world that bore us, that witnessed the cultivation of civilization and the aftermath of its so-called destruction. We have arrived at the end birth of another cycle. If you have an eye for these kind of things, you will see that the world is destroyed and remade every day. What are you taking from the rebel? What teachings will you blow into it to create the next world? So just wanted to share that piece, and thank you all for being here again. And I'm going to pass it to my beloved friend and relative, B. Anderson, to share their words with us.
Halito, my name is B. Anderson. I said greetings or hello really to you, and part of my lineage and my Chata tongue. And here in, really mostly Cherokee territory in and around where I am. It's part of Georgia. And I'm honored. I'm honored. I'm humbled. My belly is full of fire and nerves. But I'm in deep gratitude to be called on to be of service and to share, to be where it's possible, a vessel for whatever wants to be offered in this moment. A very brief sharing of who I am. I'm a daughter or a child. I am the child of my beautiful mother, also named Beatrice, and my father, Charles. I have 4 siblings, and I'm the youngest of 5. The work that I'm privileged and honored to be able to do in community is as a teacher. And that work as a teacher looks like many things, sharing many things, song, prayer, opening ceremony, sharing and teaching about our planet and the ways that I have learned throughout my heritage, but also my elders and mentors, how to be in right and aligned relationship with our planet. And I do work, lots of work, doing transformative justice work, ensuring and helping that we move through difficulty, conflict, discourse towards a more clear and better understanding across movements and relationships and families. My spiritual practice that brings me here, there are a few. I'm a Dharma teacher. I'm grateful for my beautiful South Asian family, our South Asian family, and the teachings of the Buddha that have made their way across all of Asia, over to Turtle Island. I'm grateful to my teachers in that path that look like me, for those that don't. I'm also a practitioner of Ifa. I'm a child of West African Yoruba tradition from the Yoruba people that migrated to Nigeria. And I'm a child of Chata, Black Native Chata roots from the Mississippi Band on my mother's side. And on my father's side, I'm a Jamaican Maroon, which means I'm of the people who freed themselves through spiritual practice, through the support and aid of the Taino people in Yamaka, in Jamaica. So I wanted to first start the way that I would start, which is to share a little bit about who I am. I would love to open up the mic and hear all about you. Because so much of what I have been called on my heart, mind, body, and spirit to offer today is what we already know. The days of individualism are done. And this is something to celebrate. The honor and recognition that we are not alone and we can hear each other, we can see each other, we can feel each other, literally, across social media platforms, the interwebs, seas, oceans, lands. And we do that in different ways where we can feel and see each other on front lines. We can feel and see each other when we're holding healing spaces, when we're crying and grieving together, even when we're sitting at our altars and we're making and laying down prayers for our people. We realize we're not alone. And this is so incredibly significant. I have heard more than ever in these days, and I'm 42, but I've heard more than ever these days people say ancestors off their tongue, like the ease of saying hello in the morning. It is the most beautiful thing. To honor that we are also not alone, not just in the physical, tangible form, but the intangible form is with us. What a gift. I have the beloved privilege of developing what's called the Global Indigenous Framework to protect our planet with the helpful aid of several global Indigenous elders, community leaders, teachers, land stewards. And part of that framework that is, this idea, this not even idea, this sharing that came through what they offered me to share and bring forward was that there are these 4 key parts of the framework that actually are the makeup and DNA of what it means to be Indigenous. Our relationship to spirit. Spirit in this form means the creator, the all, Ashe, the wind, the power of the wind, and what's behind the wind. It means our ancestors and those we make ofrendas to, right? It's all of that. Spirit. And then there's a relationship to the earth, that which will always, always, always deserve our reverence. Without it, without the planets, we would not be here. And then there is our personal purpose, our path, what we chose when we came from Orun, as we say in Ifa, when we came from heaven and we decided what our purpose and path would be. It is that purpose, that calling of our life that keeps us here and pulls us, especially in moments like these, to continue forward. The purpose of us, the soul or spirit of us individually. And then the final thing is the collective, the community, the family, the kinfolk, the tribe, the clan. And that is both, again, the tangible and the intangible. All our relations. And so I'd have to start first and foremost by acknowledging spirit. And I'm so grateful, Jeannie, for that beautiful offering. I've never heard the direction spoken like that before. I've never heard those ways of honoring the West like that before. Thank you for that teaching. And I, if I can, would love to add to that because it's so beautiful to be a part of a collective of folks that are both political, but also we pray, right? We make offerings, we sit at altars because that is political work. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I first for myself, because I want to be used as a vessel. I want to be emptied of the things that are in this moment would in any way inhibit me from sharing what is true and honest for me. And so if you wouldn't mind joining me and just taking a moment to pause, breathe, and offer a little bit of a prayer. And so finding whatever position feels aligned and good for you, wherever you're sitting, see if you can just relax back just a second more, just a little deeper. And that could look like releasing the shoulders and the belly, the jaw, the tongue, the eyes. That could look like holding the heart. Just finding that pause and that quiet first. A teacher recently told me that we wait for the pause before speaking. He was a Hopi elder. We wait for the pause to let spirit answer or show up before we make offering and prayer, before we speak and respond. Thank you, Creator. Thank you, benevolent ancestors. Thank you to all the protective guides and spirits, those in the 16 directions. I thank you. We thank you. Ancestors, a word that we use with great reverence, great integrity. Those that don't just come before us and that we don't see, but those that are present, alive, and stand by us and with us at every moment of our day. Alive, vibrant, here. Those with gentle whispers and brazen cries. Those with prayers that keep each and every one of us here alive. Those that usher the two gone too soon, the gone too soon. Every day. We thank you for the wisdom that courses through our body, left in our DNA, throughout our entire spirit. We thank you for the technology that you have given us to be able to continue to create the world we wish to see. Left in books, left in song, left in breath. We give thanks for every being now who is holding, supporting, and caring for each of us. Not only here on Turtle Island, in Sudan, in Haiti, in the Congo, in Palestine. Holding and supporting us. Encouraging and ensuring we move forward together. Please allow for the time that we spend here in this gathering and anyone who is gathering in this moment all over the globe. to be held in whatever experiences emotionally, physically we may be encountering, continuing to remind us we're not alone. Allow me to be a vessel for whatever is needed and useful to share at this time. And fill the space with the healing and protective energy. But only good things, only needed things, only things that support our forward movement and our path towards liberation come through. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Yeah, cookie. So I was asked about the collective. I went to my altars every time I offer a talk or I say something. And if you could, someone give me a time check in the chat. I just want to be mindful of time and I forgot to start my timer. I go to my altars and I say, okay, what do you want me to say? I'm often scared shitless and I don't know what to do. And it was very clear. Start with a prayer, talk about this time, the importance of collective work and community, not being alone, and how we sustain our movement. See what happens. So yeah, what's important to me and my peoples? I don't even know. My peoples are all of the peoples that are on this call and beyond, right? Those who in this moment are feeling, as I said, a myriad of things. I would say a lot of my peoples are those who are holding a lot of grief. A lot of my peoples in this moment are anxious. A lot of my peoples in this moment were deeply saddened, angered, enraged even, that they had to make such simplistic choices around very complex things. So, yeah, a lot of my people like me, I think, are wondering how we move forward, how we continue the movement forward. And so I'll offer what has been sustaining me and my community and my family. And I mentioned a little earlier, it's the knowing that we're not alone, but really making good on that, like reprioritizing that, centering that. And I feel like I'm talking to the masses because so many of my people already figured this out. We're the folks that started mutual aid during COVID. We're the folks who were sending bundles to our families of herbs, medicines that we had made to make sure our peoples were taken care of, those whose names we don't even know. Our community has been planting seeds and ensuring people have been eating. Our peoples have been those who go and make sure that those who are in the court are not alone and they're completely supported. Our peoples have been making sure people are housed. Like, that's our community. So part of why I think they gave me so many things to talk about is because they knew how short it would be. I'm just reaffirming what we're already doing. We're doing it. We are doing it. And the ask, I hope, and I pray is that at this moment, we don't let this election trip us up, make us think that there is something we haven't been doing and we haven't been organizing and we haven't been putting ourselves on the front line, that we haven't been. In these moments when fear can come up, we can sometimes get into an amnesia, like what do we do? And that's a natural response. But not only do we know, but those before us knew too. And they still know when we tap into them. So I think my offer is first for us to remember we're not alone, but yeah, also to remember we are doing this. But then the ask is like, well, how do we sustain this? Because burnout is real. Burnout is so real. My time during the pandemic was spent mostly helping to create healing circles for folks, for young organizers who are experiencing burnout. My apologies, suicidal ideation. Burnout was so real, is so real. And so the question I think that I'm often being asked is, how do we sustain this work? How do we sustain this forward movement? How do we sustain watering and tending to a tree whose fruit we may or may not see in our lifetime? So I have the privilege and honor of being able to host and hold, co-host and hold a retreat called Reclaiming Alignment. And it is done as an offering, particularly for Earth Stewards of Color. Initially, that's our family, that's our community we're holding. And this is folks who are doing environmental justice work, folks who are herbalists, folks who are teachers, ceremony leaders, all the things, water protectors, farmers, policymakers around food and land, rematriation of land, returning of land to Indigenous peoples. And the hope was that what we would do is first bring our family and community together to do three important things: rest, restore, and resource. There's a beautiful song that I love by Sweet Honey in the Rock. I posted it today, and the song has a refrain. It's called Ella's Song. And the refrain goes, "We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes." Dr. Bernice Johnson Regan, dear mentor, teacher of mine, and so many more, the members of Sweet Honey in the Rock, they sang that song. And they sang that song in the height of the 60s. They sang that song in the knowing that there is things that needed to be changed. And again, they may not see the fruit fall from this tree that they're fighting towards, they're efforting towards. But this refrain of "we who believe in freedom shall not rest," I offer that our desire to see this come about always stays like a fire, an internal fire that's lit. But I do not believe, given what we know from like our elders like Angela, who now completely turns, Angela Davis, to meditation and retreat and rest to help restore herself. I no longer believe, and I can say I've spoken to my elders, like Lumumba Bendele, where rest is no longer not an option. So I don't know about y'all, but in this moment today, all day, I had so much to do, and all I could do was feel, it's all impasse. I'm feeling the collective energy. I'm feeling my own nervousness. I am stuck. The only thing that helped me get through, well, there's two things. I sent a text to my friend and told her how I was feeling, community, and she responded, "The only way to be useful is if you rest." I said, well, shit. I'm gonna go lay down. So I'll ask and encourage us that we find time and we find space, and rest can look like lots of things. Rest can look like whatever is needed to help support grounding the central nervous system. A pause. Time on land, laying with your back on the land. A walk. Something slow and gentle enough in the body that allows for rest. A rocking. A holding of oneself, grasping to either side of the body, just rocking. So if you want, you can even try this on. Just rest. Then there's this part of the retreat. Like I said, it's restoration. It's more than a retreat. Like I said, we pulled this out now and it's become a framework. So that we're thinking about, like, we know that the systems we need to have changed can and will, but the way that we do that is we really start to do that changing within our own systems and protocol and practice. So that's how we see this larger and or other systems. I won't say they're larger, these other systems change. So then there's this place of restoring ourselves, doing something that helps to revitalize the body. Rest is great, but yes, well, how do I restore? How do I reconnect? And in this case, with retreat, it's reconnecting ourselves with the earth in a way that is healing. So a lot of the community that I work with, as I mentioned, are folks of color. Our relationship, especially as Black and Native folk, whether we've been stripped from our land or forcibly asked to work there, right? To work in land, our relationship to soil is complex. And even for my family that have moved past that and are now like farmers and land stewards, the relationship is still complex because they're often siloed by themselves and doing big work to feed a lot of community. So it's still complex. The feeling of having a moment to breathe and to restore this very beautiful spiritual relationship to this earth is what we get to reconnect to. And I think for our movement to do that, to reconnect ourselves to something so large and enormous, this planet, to ground in that way, to take the posture of a large redwood or a mountain like Mona Tahoma or Mount Rainier. To really be able to sit in that relationship to this planet, to our earth, to build our equanimity, our balance, so that these winds, these particular winds, won't blow us and knock us fully over. This is after we rest. That this is the next part of this offering or formula for how we sustain our movement, grounding ourselves in this relationship that is innate to all of us, to our beloved planet. And I hear sometimes I hear this relationship to planet, and I have to be honest, because the way that I hear it, because I don't know if the practice comes with it, I think that it is such a buzz term. I'll be real, as an environmental justice worker, that's how I feel sometimes. And it wasn't until I was with another one of my elders planning or doing another type of retreat, eco Dharma retreat, that she stopped us and said, in all of our planning, what would the earth want us to do? Not what do we do? No, shh. Ask the water, what does the water want us to do? When we're creating our strategic plan, when we're creating our vision for how we're organizing ourselves, have we paused to make offering to this land to ensure that we can camp here so the police don't take over our encampment site? Have we done that? Have we ensured those ancestors on that land are with us? Have we stopped enough to listen, to hear what is a part of our collective, right? Our community, helping us to know how to move forward in ways that we can't see. That's the restoring our relationship to the planet. That's our restoring our relationship to our ancestors. That's the restoring our relationship to the spirits of nature that speak in different ways. So I said I'd get back to this. So yeah, my Maroon people, right? Or like our family in Haiti, how they got their independence was because they listened to the earth. They watched the stars. Shout out to Harriet Tubman. They paid attention to the beings that all the while were just sitting there going, if you only ask me, I'll tell you where to go. Capitalism doesn't move like that, y'all. So just the simple act of turning towards the earth and grounding there in our movement, in our daily movement, our daily embodiment of the freedom and liberation that we're trying to see collectively, that's already moving us towards sustaining ourselves. And then the last part of this framework, and of course, there's so many other things I could share about it, but the last part is resourcing. And I've kind of talked about this already, but the resourcing first and foremost, like I said, I called my friend today, my friends, my community, and we're a resource to each other. And for some of us, we feel very alone and alienated and siloed in our particular location. So that can be a harder find. But I will offer again, the spirit realm is a part of our community. So that's a place to be resourced when we're talking about, yeah, community as a resource. But other ways we can be resourced. Well, I'm going to do some kind of like, well, that I just call them my practice. Some people like to call it witchy or woo woo or whatever terms they like to say. But in my spiritual practice, in my indigenous practice, resourcing myself can also look like making, as I named, particular offerings, doing divination work, taking spiritual baths, resourcing, like fortifying my energy, clearing away that doesn't serve me. Other ways to resource, continued education. And I'll offer, this is sort of an offering from the Dharma, but yeah, like my education can't just look like the things that only affirm what I know. I want to read the shit that is going to make me upset. If I am to see, like from the eagle's point of view, right, as much as I can, as much of the viewpoint, as much of the terrain, I have to take in the information, not that it's going to be just like to disturb me to the point of my own hurt or harm, but it's really to grow my capacity and ability to understand how people can think and perceive our world, this moment, this time, and not just be in a place where I'm hearing and speaking to and building just the sound of my own voice. This can also look like co-creating relationships with folks who are on the other side of the front line. It's a harder thing to say. It's a harder thing to do. Resourcing ourselves looks like, yeah, sharing of resource financially as well. And again, I know, as I said, I'm preaching to the choir. We are ones in this community who started mutual aid uh, during COVID. And so we know what it means to be a mycelium network of beings offering resources financially and otherwise to one another where there's limited means. But I mean also like strategically, are we thinking as organizations together and not being crabs in the barrel and really thinking about how we split funding efforts? Why is everybody going for the same grant when we could go for one grant as a community and everybody get broken off a little bit? Resourcing ourselves, good food, feeding ourselves, making sure we pay the farmers, making sure the farmers eat and have to get to rest. It's like a chain, taking care of the cycle, the circle of care there. But in this retreat, again, we start with the first. We start with rest. We start with laying down the things that are on our heart and our mind and our spirit. We can't do the forward movement and work without that rest. And so I know, because as I said, I know we're already doing it, but I want to do more than anything in the last few minutes that I have. Just give us time to do just that, lay down some stuff. And forgive me, I curse. It's a form of my expression. I want us to take a moment to lay down the things that we're with right now. And so you can be with whatever position that you want. I'm going to offer I'm going to offer a moment for us to do a deep relaxation process. This would usually go on for much longer than the 10 minutes that I have. If you're lying down, that's even more delicious. And yeah, it's really just an opportunity for you to lay back into your chair and then check in with you. Hmm. It's so often that during the day, we may not actually ask ourselves until someone asks us, how am I really feeling right now? How are you feeling right now? Maybe you're like me, and on a page somewhere on my screen, I have the electoral votes on the screen coming through the polls. I want you just to pull away from that for a second and come back into you. Hmm. How are you doing right now? How are you feeling right now? Maybe you could start with sensation. So the feeling of the body, if that's accessible, is there tingling or numbness, a heat, a pressure, a particular pain or tightness, and ease? And just notice that. Or maybe you can turn your attention to your breath. Can you feel the sensation of it moving in and out of your body? Can you even make it audible? Can you feel the weight of your body against the seat or floor that you're on? Offering a gentle nod of gratitude to gravity. And sinking deeper into that. How are you feeling right now? There is no wrong feeling. If you can, just allow it to be there. Knowing we're here together and you're not alone. Right here. Where can you touch into the feeling of the earth in some way? The ground beneath us. The connection to the water in your mouth. The water at the ocean. Or in the rain, the rivers. And just for a moment, I'm going to offer just a simple song to hold whatever's present. The support, putting down just for a while what you might be holding or carrying. Your body's an ocean. It ripples like the tide. Tend to the waters, baby. Emotions deep inside. Let them spill over, baby. Let them spill over, child. Take your heart down by the waterside, your body. Lay it down. Your body. Lay it down. Your body's an ocean. It ripples like tide. Tend to the waters, baby. Emotions deep inside. Let them spill over, baby. Let them spill over, child. Take your heart down by the waterside, your body. Lay it down, your body. Lay it down. So if you bring your hand to your heart or your belly, or you want to just hold or touch any part of you, just to affirm that connection and bring you back a little bit. To remind yourself of your care. And if you want to open your eyes and look around you at the screen to remind yourself of the care that's always available to you. The earth, your family, your community, your loved ones, your animal companions. I want to thank y'all for all the work you're already doing, for everything you've already contributed to our movement that looks like maybe a vote, but that so much more. And I pray that this evening, whenever you need it, allow yourself to take rest so that tomorrow and the day after and the day after, you'll be a little bit more restored and resourced for whatever's to come. Thank you for having me and listening to what I had to share.
Thank you so much, B. Oh, so much love, so much beauty. And I wanted to share before we transition to the next group, if there's any thoughts, reflections that y'all have.
I'm just grateful for giving us that medicine that we need, to remember to move forward and remember who we are and how it is that we have been and how we have survived all of this time, and we will continue forward knowing that. Thank you for that reminder. Thank you for all the tools you just gave us as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, B, for your beautiful medicine. Thank you for joining us. And with that, I want to welcome our beautiful, wonderful relatives and dream team up in the Central Valley of California who are doing amazing work. I want to welcome the beautiful team in Merced and in Bakersfield, California, to join us and introducing yourselves and sharing what you all have. So I'll pass it to you all.
Hi everyone. Hi friends. Beautiful to share space with all of you and to be just be thank you for your words and for your medicine. My name is Crisantema, Chrissy, she, hers, ella. And I'm in Merced, rooted in Merced. Other folks want to introduce?
Yeah. Hi everyone, Yajong. So grateful to be here, sharing a physical space, a virtual space. I'm Chinu. I use they, them pronouns. And I was born and raised here in Merced. In Merced, we're on Yokut's land, indigenous Yokut's land. So just feel really honored and grateful to be here.
Hello, I'm Natalie. I use they, them pronouns, and I was also born and raised here in Merced. And yeah, thank you for holding space.
Hello everyone, my name is Ale, he, him. From many places, born in Suchitlan, Mexico. But I built a lot of beautiful community and roots here in the 209 in Yokut's territory.
We'll pass it to Bakersfield to introduce
Oh, no.
yourself. No.
No?
Y'all are funny. Hi, my name is Dalton. Pronouns they, he. I live in Bakersfield, California, on Yokut's and Chumash territories. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you all again for having us. And we just wanted to share about what we experience in the Central Valley, right? When I heard the question about what's at stake for our community, I literally thought about like the beautiful ways that we show up for one another, and regardless of the election results, just like the power and beauty of being in deep, trusting relationship with chosen family, especially as like cutie BIPOC folks, right? Like, how do we build mutual aid networks? How do we move at the speed of trust to know that we're gonna keep each other safe and that what we build is going to last and is going to build a lineage with young people in our community so that young people are also wisdom keepers and are able to show up and like share their gifts in a way that is honored and um, makes them feel, and not makes them feel, but like really makes them know that we exist outside of like working in prisons. We exist outside of working in the Amazon warehouses, and we exist outside of working in the oil industry in our region. Like, we actually have purpose as human beings, and we have dreams and gifts to offer our community. And so that's what we've all been working on in Merced, like collectively trying to build those spaces for young people. Yeah, and I'll share it with other folks.
I think something that's coming up for me is that we've been trusting a lot that we are where we need to be and with who we need to be and guided by the spirits that need to be here. But we've centered our steps in building relationship. So building a relationship because we exist in a place that's highly exploited. The Central Valley is exploited in the land, in the people, in its spirit, and exported all over the place. But there's a lot of hurt and there's a lot of wounds that are left here. And there's a lot of migration and imprisonment and a lot of hurtful things to our community and to our young people and to ourselves. That tending to the spirit of relationship has been key to envisioning and creatively seeing the future into what's possible. And we've taken our time with it. We've been in relationship for a long time, but that hasn't always existed where we stand. It existed before colonization, and I know folks have built different pathways of relationship, but it's not the norm. We live in a place that's really fast and isolated. And so for us to come together and share food every week and laugh and play music, and build ceremonies together, ceremonies from different backgrounds, different cultures, different teachings, bringing our young people from different backgrounds together, guided by teachings of elders of different teachings, has been really important for us to really envision what other systems could look like in our context for our communities, because this time has never happened before. But there's a lot of patterns that we've learned from in the past. And so just kind of grounding ourselves in the decisions and the options that we have now, and taking lead from the youth and from the land into what's possible has been something that's brought us a lot of hope, I believe. I think when I started intentionally building community, I was coming from a place of fear of like, I need people around me because I don't know what's gonna happen. And maybe, like other people have answers. But I feel like we've slowly started moving from a place of hope, of love, of understanding whatever happens, we're doing our best to build with what we got. And young people have tools, our communities have tools, the land will always give us tools. And so the fear is still there, I feel like the system is really good at, throwing things our way that make us feel like the world will end tomorrow.
Oh.
But also, I think our hope is much bigger. And yeah, I'll pass it to anybody.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing. I think what's coming up for me is it's not easy. It's very, very freaking difficult to live in this region and to be in this community. The struggle is real, and I've been reflecting on like how beautiful and how strong we are. We continue to show up despite, right? All the violence and harm and devastation that we're currently experiencing and our ancestors have experienced and have endured and have overcome, and the land and the life sources, right? And so I'm constantly reminded that we have this responsibility. B, right? You mentioned like we're not alone. We have this responsibility to really be with one another, and to see each other's humanity. And I think that, especially when we think about statewide, right? And across the country and globally, our communities are often forgotten. They're not prioritized, right? And we're talking about communities of immigrants and refugees, children of immigrant and refugees, BIPOC, queer and trans folks, right? That are in this community experiencing the harm and the violence from racial toxic capitalism, right? The harms and violence of environmental injustices. And we're still out here committed to this work of building really authentic and genuine, beautiful relationships with one another as human family, right? And also like with the land and like with our animal and our plant relatives. And it's truly beautiful. And I think that it's time that our lived experiences and our stories are heard and prioritized. And it's also time, when we think about resources, right, in our communities, often our resources are going to police and prisons and criminalizing and incarcerating our people. And we know that that's not in alignment with our values, right? Our ancestors did not survive war and forced displacement, right? For us to be complicit. And that's why we organize and that's why we show up, right? Because we know that we deserve to be resourced and we deserve to be loved and seen in our full dignity. And we know that the structure and the state is working, right? They're working to ensure that we are not resourced. And so we know that the work and the commitment is beyond these institutions of harm, right? They're beyond these structures that were built to not include us, right? And so we honor this lineage of Black, Indigenous, folks of color, and know that it is our responsibility to show up and to practice this embodied liberatory way of showing up, right? That's connected to the collective values, right? Our values that our community and our young people already know in their bodies, right? Because we know that a different world is possible. We're going beyond these binaries, right? Beyond these borders and beyond the two party. And we know that these parties, are not in alignment. And that's the work to continue to bring our people with us, right? And when we think about healing, right? It's not just healing individually or like the humans, right? It's about healing like everything, right? Healing the land, right? The water, life sources. So that's coming up for me now. There's the struggle is real in the Central Valley, and the resilience and the power is also just as deep. And we know that we're gonna win. And so, like Ale was mentioning, the hope is also here because the people are here. And I also am thinking about belonging, like we belong to each other. And we belong to Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is gonna love and continue to nurture us. Because we honor and give offerings and gratitude, and we dance, so connected in who we are.
And I also just want to add, I want to honor just like how the shift in the universe has allowed us to get to this point, right? Like, I'm someone who used to do like electoral candidate campaign management, and have always been rooted in, as a young person, being politicized around like everything you do is around land and life, and you must defend land and life. And I always felt like that was on my personal time with my collectives. And in my workplace, I couldn't do that. I couldn't show up and be like, it's about land and life. It was more about like productivity, right? And I just, hold dear to my heart all the young people, Nat, Shinu, Ale, folks that have taught me so much to be like, fuck that. Like, we're gonna show up unapologetically in every space, and we are gonna name, like, as the universe is telling us, like, binaries don't exist. It is about land and life. It is about deep, deep relationship. And I look back and I'm like, wow, like the one thing that I have never doubted, the one thing that helped me get through like burnout or difficult moments when hope was, there wasn't that much hope sometimes, when the entire, board of supervisors is against everything that you are and you come from. And all these policies are like not for our people. And it was always knowing that my people had my back, and being able to name like, oh, I've known this person for a decade, and we've seen the different iterations of who we continue to become, and we continue to transform together, and we continue to grow together. And it's like, when we lean into that vulnerability of trusting that we can be our full authentic selves with one another, that at the end of the day, it's not going to be the state, it's not going to be the government, it's not going to be these, the nonprofit industrial complex, that it's going to literally be us having real life skills in cooking, in knowing how to set the altar, knowing how to bring life into earth, and use plants and everything. That's what is at the core of it. And like, I love it in the Valley because it's not just because I'm from here, I swear. It's like a thing. Like, we are the most creative organizers I have met are in the Central Valley. When you're in a rural part of the state where assimilation is the norm, and you don't have access to art, you don't have access to ethnic studies, you don't have access to even learning about the United Farm Workers until you leave your community. And you cultivate hope for yourself, and you build deep bonds with people around you. Like, it's we may not have the frameworky language, but we do have the practice, because it's what has helped us not just survive, but like thrive and live well resourced, and live in a way that is continuing what our ancestors have always done. Like, our communities have been living this way, and we are just trusting our inherent wisdom and being like, I feel that in my gut that it's the right, I'm gonna do shit because it's the right thing to do, right? I'm gonna say things because it is about my value, even if it doesn't lead to, that policy change. but I'm gonna say it out loud because truth must be spoken for my people. You wanna add
Yeah,
anything?
I think just to talk about the vision that we have, and it's very rooted in that, and like truthful things. Like truthfully, we need food, and we need housing, and we need community, and we need young people to see beyond the hurtful things that are around them. But all of those things in their basic truth are so simple. Um, and I feel like as you were speaking about the language and how everything can be so complex, or even the policies, or all this spectacle, we're going back to truth. And truth is that, like, caring for each other and learning how to use the land around us to build in a way that's intentional and sustainable. And these are things that we know how to do. Um, and so as much as think times are kind of scary and worrisome, they're also an opportunity to use that fire and transform things within us, that allow us to see that things are really that simple, that we do need to know the trees in our neighborhood, and we do need to know the neighbors, and we need to know the young people, um, because that's where the answers are at. We need to know the rivers and know that they're hurting and that they're sick, but that there's also medicine around them, working tirelessly to combat all of that. And there's medicine in us to fight everything that's coming our way. And so I think our vision is to build those systems for ourselves that will allow us to be okay and beyond okay, that will allow us to thrive and to love deeply and create art and dance. And we're practicing that, right? Like, even in death we dance. A few days ago we had a Day of the Dead ceremony, and it was so beautiful to see so many people whose backs were probably hurting because a lot of people work in the fields out here. um, but there was still space to celebrate and to grieve through dancing. And I know that we'll keep doing that forever as long as we're here, because it's what the earth does with the wind and the leaves and everything we see around us. And so that's kind of our vision, and we're starting wherever space is allowed, or wherever space isn't allowed. We're getting creative, um, and things are growing here in the valley. There's a lot of little pockets of hope that are growing, and we're connecting with each other. So we're really excited about what's to come, and remind ourselves that at the end of the day, as radical as these things may seem, we deserve to have access to food, and we deserve to have access to care and healthcare and plant medicine, and clean water and clean air. They're very basic things that, we were birthed out of this world to enjoy. Um, and we can get there, and we will get there. But we're taking it slow, and we're taking intentional steps towards that. But we also open that invitation to everyone, that wherever you're building, keep reaching out to other pockets and connect, because that's how we build these systems that are alternative to the systems based on fear and violence.
Do you want to share anything?
Yeah. I wanted to just uplift that, in Merced, 70% of the budget goes to public safety, and only 2% goes to parks. And so, and then 20% goes to administration. So hardly no money goes to youth, affordable housing, or any other resources. And know that the nonprofits here, you have to be Christian in order to get services. And so there's no resources. And so it's really sad to see a community left with nothing, really no resources. And so that's why it's so important that in the situation that we're in, that we mobilize and that we come together to make something for the community.
Should we pass it to our Bakersfield relative?
I'm still recovering from surgery, so I'm a little tired. This is my bedtime. I don't remember the question. What is the question?
Thank you, Dalton, for being here. It's
Mm.
what's at stake in our communities. Anything you want to share doesn't have to be long.
You said what's at stake?
Our communities or any message you have.
Yeah. Well, everything they shared, period. We can pause, we can just stop there. Um, I think right now, I don't want to be like a tonal shift, but I feel like I'm going to be. Um, I think right now, especially just with like what's happening literally right now, and I'm getting text messages that there are crazy MAGA people trying to like scare people here in Bakersfield and Kern County. So, that's not shocking. If this is the Central Valley, this is Kern County, this is Bakersfield, we know where we are. And I think with that, we don't do ourselves or our young people a good service by not being real about the risk it takes when we do this movement work. I think it is very disrespectful, and I think it's a malpractice on our end as organizers and movement people to not be honest with our young people or anybody at any age and any ability when they step into this work, that you are saying that the people who have the power to end you and to rule over you will hurt you, will try to hurt you, will try to out organize you when you say hell no to what they want to do. I don't think we're doing any favors to anybody by not acknowledging that. And I think especially like as a Black person, like the lineage of organizing that we come from is one that holds, yes, let's take the spiritual bath. Yes, let's do all of the amazing, like what we call healing work. And you might need the machete. You might need to be very clear in how you organize, like spiritual warfare and legitimate warfare. And as organizers, we are people who hold both roses and machetes. And I think we should not forget that, especially in moments like these. So I think if there's one thing I would just really love to see us, especially people who are working with younger folks, like get very real on how do we protect each other and keep each other safe. I'm not like there's different levels to that, but I think at a basic level, like understanding the power of your voice and the beauty that that carries, and also understanding the backlash and how what that looks like. I think everybody um, on this call understands that, but definitely the folks in Merced and the Central Valley, we have laws here where we cannot speak in public comment or other things. We cannot clap, we cannot do all the things you see everybody else in the country being able to do at their meetings. If we do that here in Bakersfield and Kern County, you have $1,000 fine and 6 months in jail. So you can tell me to hoop and holler all you want to, but there's a price to pay when I speak here. So we need to understand, like, how do we navigate ourselves and our liberation in this shitty system? So I think there's that. I also think, like, I mean, Chrissy have talked about this, like in the Central Valley, there's a deep capacity for resurrection. We saw it last year. We saw it last year with the Tulare Lake. It was literally gone for over 100 years because of colonization, because of really shitty poor choices that look like greed, extraction, overconsumption, and all the things that we still see today with bodies in the Central Valley, right? We see them taking out this lake that was the largest body of water this side of the Mississippi and building hella prisons. We've only built one college this century in the Central Valley. Yeah, we have, I think, is it 8 or something, like prisons that were built because it's easy to hide. And that's also on land that used to be farmland and that used to be underwater, which is why the Central Valley is a beautiful place to grow all this beautiful food. It was being nourished by this beautiful lake. It was being nourished by these beautiful rivers that, because of these shitty things, were gone until nature was like, bet. So let it rain down. The water's here. we're bringing it back. And I think that reminds me, like, as much as everything is everything, like the capacity of the Central Valley organizers is one where resurrection is possible. We get up every single day. We face death every single day. Literally, there were people whose cars were being burned down here just because saying Black Lives Matter. Like, there are people who are going missing. There are people who were getting their asses beat by MAGA people, like young women just getting knocked in the face in front of me and all these things. And we kick ass. Like what the Merced people were saying. We've out-organized all of these people, and that's why the heat is so hot here. I think lastly, what I'll share is just like, I wish there was a more critical understanding of the ways our bodies are in spaces here. I think specifically like going like being able to be more mobile from this experience, like I wish people took more into consideration like the impact living in the Central Valley and the impact of the forces that force themselves on us, like put on our literal bodies. Like literally like me and Chrissy were talking earlier, but like you're more likely to have asthma than go to college here. You know, like I don't know. I think maybe I know a couple people in Bakersfield without asthma. You know what I mean? And then when you think about the ways that our water works and the ways that like our oil wells are, especially here, like in Bakersfield, Kern County, it's oil country. We have Oildale. It's a whole place that's called literally Oildale. There's a beauty pageant where you, oh, anyway, but there's a beauty pageant in Kern County where you miss oil something and you win and it's all about oil and all the things. So like, you know, but this is what gives us cancer. This is what kills us. This is what literally impacts the way our bodies are able to go. Specifically, like thinking about places like Bakersfield and Fresno. And I don't know the statistics in Merced, but like Fresno, if you live on the east side, there's like literally based off a freeway, there's a 20-year life expectancy difference. In Bakersfield, if you live on the east side to the west side, there's an 11-year life expectancy difference. And all of that is because they fucked the soil. It's shitty. They messed it up. They've extracted it and they have no intentions on building it back up. And this makes us sick. And we're seeing younger and younger people have to deal with this. But we're not talking to younger people about the impacts that decisions they didn't make have on their body. So I would like to see like more of that.
Um, I want to thank you all for what you've shared. I think in different words, you have said what has been in my mind for the past few months, if not the past at least years that I've returned to California. And it is that although there are structural, systemic, state-run forms of hindering our lives, there's also infrastructures of resistance. And those infrastructures of resistance is us, right? It is each other. It is all of us. It is this collective. It is these bodies. It is these voices. It is these ideas. It is the spirit. It is the tangible and the intangible, right? It's the connectedness. It's the web, you know, it's this interconnectedness, and it's this polyphony, right? It is all these voices being sound at the same time, and in different times and in different spaces. And so I really appreciate what you have said about, we have been doing this. This is how we have been doing. This is how we have resisted for years, decades, centuries, millennia, right? Celia has talked about how we have been in these lands, in Aviala, in Turtle Island, in Mesoamerica, in our original lands. We have been here for millennia, and we will continue to be here for millennia because we are in contact with each other, because we are networked with each other, because we are in solidarity with each other, because we are, you know, when the state is thinking about buildings as a structure, we are thinking about our bodies as a structure. You know, we are really the structures of resistance, the infrastructures of resistance. You know, our hands, you know, our hearts, our minds, our voices, our ideas, our practices, our spiritual practices, our political practices, and that resistance to not compartmentalize, like you said, you know, how you used to do other type of work and how you felt you had to kind of leave everything behind or leave everything at the door and then do the productive work. And now you feel like, you know, you have finally found people where you don't have to do that, you know. I think that's really key to strengthening those infrastructures of resistance. We are the infrastructure of resistance, and we will continue to be in the face of whatever is ahead of us, because we have done it in the past, and we have historical memory. We have it in our bodies, we have it in our bones, we have it in our cells, and so we'll have to reproduce that, right? And we have to take care of each other and be mindful, like, you know, like Dalton was saying, you know, in very raw terms, you know, it's really hard out there. It's really tough out there. You know, we have to be careful because life is precious. We are defending life. We are defending land. We are defending water, you know, and so we will continue to do that. And we have to take care of each other, you know. And just thank you for you know, for inspiring, for like giving me like the uplifting, you know, that I needed after a really long and difficult, you know, day. I mean, we you know, we keep trying to find sources of you know, of strength to continue with our days, to continue with our work, because we also know it's important, you know, because we touch other people's lives, because we come in contact with other people and they, you know, touch our lives. And so I want to thank you for what you've shared and how even in the most difficult places, such as the Central Valley, we will continue to strengthen those spaces, infrastructures, and bodies of resistance, because maybe that's what Mother Earth is telling us. Maybe that's what the water is telling us, as B was asking, like, what is Mother Earth telling us? Like, maybe we should ask them. You know, we should ask the water what it's telling us, right? And it's at this moment, I feel like we are reconnecting, you know, with each other, and that's of utmost importance to continue to strengthen these bodies of resistance. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Coco, for that reflecting back of what everyone was sharing. I had to step away because I started crying. I got overwhelmed with everyone's words, and because it's so real. It's so real, and I just needed a moment. I just wanted to be real about like what was going on, because it's yes, fun and games, and also it's real. Like what we're doing here, our spiritual work, our political work, and them not being different is being on the front lines. Like every single day, it's a front line. And it's like, that spiritual work is our armor, is what amplifies us, what protects us, what gives us direction and inspiration. Everything y'all were saying, I'm just so in awe. Like all you Central Valley folks, like when I met you all, I was like, damn, these folks are amazing. And I'm so moved by what you all do. I'm inspired and I'm just in gratitude, you know, to you all in the Central Valley, to your beautiful practice and bringing us into this dialogue to be able to be present with all the things that needed to be said. And that's what that practice is, to guide us, to allow us to step into this with more strength. So thank you all. I do know we have our Charlene just hopped into. Hi Charlene, thanks for joining us. I'm so glad that you're here. I wanted to just pass it to you if you wanted to share anything, and I just wanted to acknowledge that you're here with us. Thank you for joining us.
Han. Good evening. I wanted to thank everyone from the beginning of this intention and the first building of the fire that began this time that we have spent together. What I've seen across the country is different areas that our people have never stopped trying to take care of each other, take care of the land, take care of the environment, the water. We've continued a journey that has gone so many decades before our children that spoke tonight ever had a part of. But it is the same language that our old people and our ancestors spoke when they spoke about these times. If we know history here in this country, then we know who helped them to write some things down to help make community in the beginning, because they had no idea how to do that. And they needed help in being able to do it, but they could never continue it because they didn't understand that where that came from was that we were taking care of our families and our people, our nation, and we were intertwined and still are with all that exists. We have for centuries fought. For centuries, we've been on the run. We've gotten less than. We've gotten what's left over. We've gotten taken for granted as people, human beings. I'm not talking colors only. Human beings who look to this earth and see that we are stewards and taking care of it. I really do believe that what I heard and what I've witnessed over these last 4 weeks is that growth in the pockets and just those little glimpses of what is actually going on for our young people, because our young people are stepping up to make the change. The most important key. And as one of your elders, I'm happy that I could witness what is going on in hearing the voices of our young people across this nation and just little pockets or what's going on for them, because we recognize that our young people and our people need homes, need family, need community. And we have not stopped. Our people have not stopped. They're still dancing in our young people today. You make us so proud, because it was hard to get to this place. But it's good to see that the fight doesn't stop. The resistance to things that are not good for us is still there. And the attempt to mend, to rest, to heal, to live in each other's lives in a meaningful way, because we are living with all of life in a meaningful way. That is what holds our people together. That's what holds our people who love this earth, who understand the relationship to the stars, relationship to the water, to the animals, to the children, each having their specific gifts that they have to be able to hold that place. I'm very grateful to each and every one of you that what you have shared these last 4 weeks has been just a blessing of a prayer and an intention. Thank you, Sister Celia. We have sat in ceremony for a lot of years, maybe 40 years, 40 some years. And over this time, it's always good to sit down with you because we always have these ideas. And we kind of always boost each other, I think, to go with the idea. When we know that the intention of it is in a good way and in a prayerful way that is looking out for someone. So I want to give thanks to you and John, all of those that have helped to bring this together and held a forum to just have a conversation, just to be able to light the fire and have a conversation. I want to hear more. I want to hear more of the young people around the country, their thoughts, what their dreams are, what they're doing, what they've been left with from our generations that have struggled to get to this point. But we see you. I see you. I see your intelligence. I see your logic of things. I see that you are the generation that was prayed for. My grandfather, who lived through the original Wounded Knee, my grandfather. Thank you for the blessings that you brought. Because I know my ancestors are listening and they just witnessed something very beautiful and very powerful. It is the heart of our people. You are the heart of our people. So thank you all. Mitakuya. Say good night.
Thank you to all of you tonight and all of you over the last 4 weeks that have, come here and sat with us and around this fire. I want to say, remember that both Charlene and myself and others, started a fire and sat around a sacred fire in Button Willow, right there in the Central Valley. We found the aliveness of the river underneath the earth, even though you couldn't see it, the plants above it were still present. And that prayer, was for the, up and down the valley, for all of us living and depending on what comes from that valley, and so I'm grateful to you to hear, that the fire is in you, as is the water. And I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity to sit here. For me, I'm not watching the news. I'm listening to you. Yeah. And I think that I feel that no matter what happens, it matters and it doesn't. It matters, and it doesn't. It doesn't matter because we continue doing what we do in our struggle. And I'm so glad to hear that from you, that you remind me of that. Like Charlene, I'm so grateful to you, grateful to your energy, grateful to the way that you see this world. It helps me remember, it helps me learn, it helps me continue with the struggle. So it has been a wonderful experience, and I'm hoping that this is Las Maestras Center for Chicana Indigenous Thought, Art, and Social Praxis. And we invite you to, continue to participate with us in however it is that we can be useful to you. You know, whatever ideas you might want to bring to us, we are open to those ideas. And we're grateful to all the generations represented. We're grateful to the ancestors that came before us and that still live inside us. You know, we practice our ancestors every time we light that fire, every time we drink the water, every time we remember, we keep those alive. And so I want to say a prayer out for our families. I want to say a prayer out for, you know, our young people, some of whom are ill at this moment. I want to pray for them. I want to hold them in my heart and remember them. And I want to pray for the elders, you know, those who are still here, present with us in consciousness, those that have passed, and those young people that we have yet to meet that are coming this way. And I thank you for this evening.
Thank you, Maestra. Thank you, Coco. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, for bringing your wisdom. And yes, we are listening to you. I feel the same about that. Thank you, beloved relatives. Have a wonderful night.
Okay, we're good.